What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover back with another video. In today's video, I have a traditional 7 round mock draft, no trades, or I mean, sorry, there are trades, there's no challenges or anything like that. I'm going to be able to move up the board, down the board, do whatever I really want in this draft. Go after my favorite guys and guys that I think fit with the Houston Texans. But yeah, we're back to our traditional 7 round mock drafts. I haven't done a traditional one in about a week, so I think that's enough time to go in and do another one. I try to do one a week, and then obviously the challenge videos, the off-season videos do have the 7 round mock draft in those as well, but just one where I can rant about my favorite prospects and move around the board, see what Casario might try to do in the draft. So let's just begin as Mendoza goes one. And it seems like it's going pretty standard so far. And Ione goes there at 26, which is a pretty bad beat. Someone that I would really like. I didn't realize he was starting to fall down the board. I saw Maui Noah and Fano go there at 15, 16, and I thought, you know, there was no chance for, yeah, Ione, maybe you want to move up for him. Maybe you don't. Um, but here at 28, Kenyon Sadiq's a tough one to say no to. I drafted him in a off-season manager, I believe. Um, but here at 28, I mean, CJ Allen's an intriguing option. Monroe Freeling's an intriguing option. I think you could trade down from this spot. I know Casario loves trading down into the second round, and I think if you could pick up the Jets 2 seconds, and they're not interested, the Browns would have to be something like this. Wow. 37, 70, and 205 for 28 could be something I'm intrigued in. Um, and you know what? I'm just going to try to pull the trigger on it. Trade out the first round and pick up an extra third round pick. And we're back to back in the second round, actually. So there's that. And Freeling and Tinman both go there. That's completely fine with what I want to do in this draft. And that is address the defensive line and the offensive line. So what I'm going to do is use that 59 and 106 to try to move up to 48's really solid, actually. If I give up 106, could I pick up 230? I mean, they don't really have anything to give me on the other side. 46 maybe? And then give me 190 or two. I mean, 194, and then I give you 244. Should be able to go through. And it does. So we move up to 46. So we got 3 second round picks in here, and still got pick 69 instead of 59, I believe it was. With this first pick, I'm going to go with one of my favorite tackles in this class, and that is Max Etcher out of Arizona State. I think a guy that may be able to go in the first round. He has feet that you can't teach. I don't know how to explain it other than you ask a wide receiver or a running back to run in the 4.2s when you know that they're a power back or a route runner that runs in the 4.6s. Um, that's the comparison. He has feet you can't teach. I really love the player that Ian Etcher is. I think he has a really solid base, amazing feet, and just really agile, gets to his position really well. I think Freeling would be a coaching project, but I would really like the idea of bringing him into the Texans. I think he could definitely be around this first round range. And I think there's potential that we do go with him at 28. I think Lomu's more of a guard. Um, Obviously, there is a little bit of a need for a guard in Houston, though, so if you do want to address that, you definitely could. Um, and that's what I might do with this second pick here in Emmanuel Pregnon, but Ian Etcher, the grade is not as high as maybe some others, but I really like his tape. And I really like the Senior Bowl too. I think he really stood out, and I think teams are going to start to evaluate him seriously, and I think he will end up being around the first round. Top of the second round, late first round, I think is where Ian Etcher will go, and I think he'll be one of the better players in this class. Um, Coming in like first year, I think he'll be very solid and a really good plug and play starter, which the Texans can use at that right tackle position, which he played in college. So he'd just be able to slide right in. Someone like Freeling would have to switch over from the left side to the right side, or even Alomu would have to potentially switch over from the left side to the right side. Um, Proctor as well, played mostly left tackle throughout college. Actually, all left tackle. I thought he had some split snaps at right tackle at one point last year, not like this year, but the year before that. Fano, right tackle. After 2023, Maui Noah, right tackle as well. But yeah, Ian Etcher, I think, can just be a plug and play guy. Another tackle I really like is Blake Miller. I think you could look to bring him in at some point, and he would be a very good player for you. Very similar to Ian Etcher, just a really solid base, really good player. Here at 39, I'm thinking of Emmanuel Pregnon, but I am going to hold off on that. I'm going to go with the Texas Tech guy, I believe. Or, hmm. No, I'm gonna Hopefully he's there at 46. We're gonna bank on him being available at 46, and we're gonna go with Anthony Hill Jr. there. Um, and perfect. Lee Hunter is there available to us. Anthony Hill, I just think he's such a good linebacker, very athletic. I think he has potential to go in the first round. Someone in my comment section in the last video also suggested that he might be a first round talent. He definitely could be uber athletic, really good tackle. You see, didn't miss many tackles this year in comparison to last year. Really got coached up and played really well this year. Obviously, he played 6 more games, which kind of makes that 15 number a little bit higher compared to last. But really good competition in playing Georgia, OU, Ohio State, and he showed out in all those games. Just a really good player. Um, you really like what you see from Anthony Hill Jr. every year. Really good in the run game, can cover as well. I think another guy who's exceptional in coverage is Sonny Styles. I think he's probably the best coverage linebacker in the draft that we've seen in quite some time, just because he used to play safety. Of course, he's going to be good in coverage, but he has a true linebacker frame and hits really well. Um, but yeah, I really like Anthony Hill. I really like his athleticism. I think he'd bring the swarm to the Texans, if that makes sense. Um, Either at the will or you move Toa Toa to the will and then you put Anthony Hill at the Sam. But I think he's a perfect fit for what this defense needs, especially when they want to run three linebackers out in the field to stop the run, or just as a traditional front. I think Anthony Hill would be exceptional in. Um, so that's my pick there at 39. Back to back Ian Atcher and Hill. Ian Atcher, another guy that looked great in the Senior Bowl, and then I talked about this guy who was also amazing at the Senior Bowl, and that is Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. Um, just a really, really good player, really sound technique. Um, really like the way he plays. Not enough good things you can really say about Lee Hunter. Explosive, maybe similar to Caleb Banks. I think his pad level may get high at sometimes, but he's so explosive off the line that I think the Texans could really utilize that. Good pass rusher from the interior as well. You can see the pass rush grade. It isn't as high as the run defense grade because he's such a good run defender, but he's still very good in the pass rush game. I think he's just a really refined D tackle, and I think the Texans can utilize a big body there in the middle because I think our heaviest D tackle was Tommy Togiai, who's around maybe 295, 300. So, Lee Hunter could definitely step into a role, be that traditional run stuffer that we so desperately need while we have slim guys at the D tackle position in Toya and Rankins, unless that's D'Amico's type, but I really don't think it is. Here at pick 69, you could double up at tackle and go Blake Miller. I don't think he'd be available at this point in the draft. We do have back-to-back picks again, which is pretty funny. Um, you could go Jennings Dunker, who can play guard for you. Um, but I really like the idea of Chase Visantis as a Texan. So there's that. I think this could be a slight trade down spot. I'm not going to say a drastic trade down. Like 72 might be perfect, but I think 77 is even better. I think we already traded with the Buccaneers, which is pretty funny. But if we were able to pick up 75 and 90, or maybe 111, 149, or no, we go for 111, we give 194, maybe. I think that'd be fair. Move up 80 spots, but move back 6 spots. I'll offer this trade, see if it gets accepted. And it does. So we move down slightly, and they go Chris Brazzell. So not the end of the world. Obviously, Max Clare does go there, who's someone that I really like the Texans to go after. But I like guys like Sam Roosh. I like Koziel a lot. Y'all know that. Cuevas had a very decent Senior Bowl. I like Oscar Delp down the board. Kitzelman's an intriguing one. Borkirkshire I really like too. So I don't think you really have to look tight end too early. Obviously, Jack Andrews could be a pick we look at right here, or Michael Trigg, who's an incredible athlete at the tight end position and a really good receiver at it as well. But here at 70, I think I'm just going to pull the trigger on Blake Miller here. I think. Yeah, I'm gonna pull it. He can play center in the NFL if he really wanted to, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye. Um, He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. I think if you have him and Ian Atcher, you could potentially move one of them inside. But I do think the tackle competition would help. And I really like both players at the tackle position. I think both could be first round talents. I think you work around it. I think you can fit Blake Miller in somewhere that you do need him to play, and I do think that would ultimately be his best fit in the NFL. If he just goes to a team that allows him to have free reigns, plays his desired position, which could be guard. I think he will end up being a right tackle somewhere in the NFL. Um, and I do think he's a top 25 player, which is what made it so hard to say no to when I saw him available. But really good player, really good technique, really agile, good base. Similar to Ian Atcher, I just think Ian Atcher has those feet that you can't really um, mess up with. So yeah, Blake Miller's the pick at 70. I think you could maybe move him inside to guard. I saw someone bring up the idea of him playing center, which you know, maybe he could. I don't really know. I mean, obviously you see a snap count here. I've only really seen him play right tackle, but he might be a little too big for a center. But he'd definitely be able to kick inside to guard and do a really solid job. Um, Other than that, I really like the idea of Chase DeSantis there. That's someone I was considering. I think he could be around the first round as well. But here at 75, I think I am going to go with the running back that I so really like, and that is Mr. Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. Just really like the way he runs, good in the gap, good in the zone scheme. As we wait for our next pick, we will, I guess, just open up his profile. You can see 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns this year, 6 yards a carry on 250 attempts is absurd. Decent after contact. I think he could get a little bit better there, but you see the gap grade and the zone grade. Better in the gap scheme, obviously, but that's just what Nebraska typically ran more. Um, or sorry, I got it backwards. They ran zone scheme more than gap scheme. But he's just really good in the gap scheme. Nick Caley likes to fluctuate between the two. Um, so I think Emmett Johnson would be a very good fit here. I think he could definitely be a lead back for a team if a team really wants him to be. Bud Clark goes there at 100. That's someone else considering. Sam Roosh goes at 106. But here at 111, I think you could go a lot of different areas. I really like Michael Taft as a player. I think Grayson Holton improved throughout the Senior Bowl. Genesis Smith could be someone you look at the safety room just because of the size he possesses. I think you want more of a downhill safety, though, if you're the Texans. And that could definitely come in the draft. That could definitely come in free agency. Um, Kind of have a similar color pattern going here. We got yellow, orange, red. Um, I guess the colors that make up fire is what we're going for. But Santos doesn't go till 94. Um, yeah, definitely could have made a move or just drafted him over Blake Miller. I know that Blake Miller pick may be contradicting because we already went with the Anatra, but I think they could definitely fit together on the same offense, um, especially ours that needs so much help around the offensive line. Here at 111, though, I think you could utilize Jalen Kilgore as a safety. So I'm going to hold off on safety because that would be my ideal target. I just really like the way he plays. Jacoby Lane is a very intriguing receiver. Um, Obviously, I love Pat Coogan. Mm, Here at 111, what do I want to do? I think I want to trade down. I mean, if I could pick a 123 or 124, just because they have more draft capital, something like this. 233. I think that's a fair trade. So you pick up three more picks. We're going to be able to move around the latter end of this draft, just because we have so many picks for us. And Tim Keenan goes there. And I guess this is where I'll pull the trigger on. Actually, no. I'm gonna go with Keelan Rutledge here first. I just really like the way he plays. I think is a very good fit in Houston. Kind of has that swarm mentality that I've been talking about for a while on the offensive side of the ball. I think the Texans will really value that, and I think teams are going to be very high on Keelan Rutledge heading into the draft process. So maybe he doesn't go in the fourth round. I think he could definitely go in the third round, or maybe I would say late day two is probably his grade for many teams. But there's potential it's a little bit higher for someone, and it just takes one team to pull the trigger on you for something to happen. Really like Keelan Rutledge, though. I think that's a great pick there. And then you're really solidifying your offensive line here. You got a lot of depth, guys that can play tackle, they can play guard. Um, and you're looking at Cade Mays in free agency, so you could hold off on center. I really like Logan Jones, though, so there's potential for that. Here at 128, though, this is where I'm going to pull the trigger on Jalen Kilgore. Um, just to play safety, I think you could utilize him in a very proper manner in Houston. I think he is more of a coverage guy. So if you do want a run defense guy, you could look for Michael Taft or Jalen Stroman, who's really good against the run too. And I'm actually going to make a move here. I'm going to go 164, 165, and 233 for 130. Maybe you could pull this off. this has a 70% chance to get accepted. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to move up to 130, and I'm going to go with Michael Taft here with this one. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Michael Taft here, and then I might double up and go with Jalen Kilgore, but I also want to move up slightly to, I guess 147 could be a very good pick for what I want to do. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Kilgore with this one, and then as we wait till 147, I'm not gonna do any more moves, so I will just. I guess I don't really need to speed it up. But here at 147, I am going to address the tight end position and go with my guy in Tanner Koziel, who I really, really like. And then we will finish this draft here at 243 with our last pick in the draft as we go with, um, Eli Heidenreich, I really like. Laner Barton could be an intriguing option. Dylan Bell's a very good athlete. I think Kelly McManus is a very decent quarterback. VJ Payne had a decent Senior Bowl. Um, a lot of decent players here. Noah Whittington could be an interesting one. Jack Velling I like. Braden Cleveland, I kind of like Dean Connors as well, but I'm going to go top of the board here, and I'm going to go with another backup quarterback in Luke Altmaier, just in case we don't have Davis Mills headed into next year. And our grade's not going to be good. I'm going to be honest with y'all. It's not going to be as high as other drafts. Ian Etcher's an F. Blake Miller's a C, even though these should be A plus and probably I'd say B plus for Ian Etcher maybe. Um, Grade overall at a B minus. I'm not really concerned about the grade right now because obviously these draft positions are going to change a lot throughout the draft process. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this draft down in the comment section below. Really addressed the offensive line in this one with Rutledge, Miller, and Ian Atshore. And then another need in safety with Taff and Kilgore. Kilgore can play safety. He can play corner. It's really in, you know, a team's desire for what they want out of Jalen Kilgore. Koziel is a very good tight end. Altmaier is going to be a very good backup quarterback. Evan Johnson is going to be someone that can lead their running back room for you. Anthony Hill can be a replacement to Aziz if you don't want to resign him after next year, or just another guy that can play alongside Aziz and play very productively. And then Lee Hunter, don't really need to talk too much about him. Going to be a very good run stuffer for you in a pass rusher. So I think this draft turned out great. But let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. We're so close to 400 subscribers. We may have hit it by the time this video is posted, but yeah, thank y'all so much for that. Really appreciate the support y'all have given me on these videos. On the road to monetization and all that. So thank y'all so much for the support. If you did enjoy this video, as always, please be sure to like, subscribe. It does go a long way and mean a lot to me. But as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Thanks again for watching. Peace.